Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and today I have a rather short opinion piece on Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered. And for the gameplay of this video, enjoy the very old school Modern Warfare 2 gameplay. The quality's not great, but it's from back in the day. Hopefully you guys all enjoy it. So obviously a lot has been made lately about Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered. Initially, there were some leaks and rumors suggesting that Call of Duty World War II Vanguard, the supposed COD game for 2021, is going to be delayed. And as a result, the theory is that in place of that game, Activision is going to finally pull Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered from behind the curtain and release that game instead. Now, while anything is possible in the video game world, I feel like Activision delaying a release seems incredibly unlikely, as we have had annual Call of Duty titles for about 15 years now, and of course, extremely credible leaker Tom Henderson is saying that he does not expect Modern Warfare 2 to be released this year. Now, if I had to make an educated guess, and I feel as though most of us are on the same page here, I feel like it's going to be business as usual for the Call of Duty franchise this year. I feel as though World War II Vanguard will be releasing. I feel as though it's going to be a rushed Call of Duty title, as most of them seem to be as of late, and I feel as though Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered will be released at some point in the coming years after that. It sucks that this seems to be the case, because we of course would all love to relive the glory days of Modern Warfare 2, but this is honestly how I see things playing out. Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered seems to just be an ace up Activision's sleeve. They know it will make money hand over fist, and they're basically just waiting for the perfect opportunity to release that game, and that perfect opportunity will likely come at a time where Modern Warfare 2 Remastered won't cannibalize sales from the current Call of Duty project at the time. Activision is of course a business at the end of the day, and they're all about maximizing profit. That is their number one concern. So when will Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered come out? Likely at a time where they're not making enough money from the current Call of Duty project. Now, with all that being said, I do want to discuss an idea that I actually got from my friend Sean the other day. He mentioned this so casually, and it actually blew my mind because it made so much sense, and it really seems to be something that would be beneficial for the entire Call of Duty community. So when Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered does eventually come out, most fans in the community are of two mindsets. Mindset number A is these fans want absolutely no changes whatsoever. Just remake the game exactly how it was back in 2009 and in 2010. Mindset number B, however, is that the game should have some changes, but only the changes that were outlined by former Infinity Ward community manager Robert Bowling back in 2010. Now, I have covered this a number of times here in the channel, so I'll quickly try to cover this, but back in the day, Infinity Ward had a huge falling out with Activision over the rights to the Call of Duty franchise. As a result, more than half of the original Infinity Ward studio left Activision to form Respawn Entertainment, where of course they would go on to create Titanfall, Titanfall 2, and of course Apex Legends. Well, with more than half of the original Infinity Ward staff now gone, Modern Warfare 2 basically stopped development entirely. Balance patches pretty much ceased to exist, glitches and bugs ran rampant all over the game, and the only real updates that would actually come to Modern Warfare 2 after that huge fiasco were simply just the map packs that were finished well before the initial release of the game. Now, despite all of this, however, Robert Bowling was still the community manager for Infinity Ward, and he was still pushing for the remaining developers to make some much needed changes to Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer. You can see some of these tweets on your screen right now. The biggest things that he disclosed to fans on Twitter were that he wanted the development team to fix the misaligned red dots that didn't work properly on certain weapons. He wanted to fix the suppressors that did not work properly on other weapons like the SAW and the M9 pistol. Basically, if you had either of those two guns and you put a suppressor on them and you shot your gun, you still showed up on the minimap. It was just a bug within the game. He was pushing to get that fixed. And most importantly, he wanted an update so that the one-man army and scavenger perks did not replenish grenade launcher ammo. Now, had these fixes actually gone through, I and a lot of other people feel as though Modern Warfare 2 would have been an infinitely better game, and as a result, a lot of us believe that if and when Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered comes out, that these changes should take effect from day one. They should basically rebuild the game, but with these changes in mind. right? But of course, other people are saying, no, don't do that. I mean, it's definitely a slippery slope, I suppose, right? If you fix one-man army, then what about other things? Are you going to nerf the ACR? Are you going to nerf the UMP-45? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? No, I don't feel as though a lot of us actually want those kind of things to happen. I think most of us who do want changes in Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered simply want the changes that were outlined by Robert Bowling back in 2010, because had Infinity Ward not had that huge falling out with Activision, chances are all these changes would have been pushed through and actually happened back in 2010, and Modern Warfare 2 would be a much more balanced game as a result. Well, Sean's idea is pretty simple, but I think it's pretty genius. He said that if they do finally release this game, the first 2 months should be the game exactly as it was back in the day, even with all of its broken mechanics. After those 2 months, however, and when the old school fans with their rose-tinted glasses can finally see just how absolutely broken one-man army tubes would be with the current Call of Duty player base, then, and only then, should Robert Bowling's forgotten patch be implemented and the game be made much better as a result. I feel as though that would be the best way to go about things, right? We see Modern Warfare 2 as it was with the busted red dot sights and the busted silencers and the holographic sights that for some reason gave you way more range than you should have initially on your weapon, and of course one-man army noob tubes, danger close noob tubes, scavenger noob tubes, right? All these broken things, they would still be there in the game for the first 2 months so people can see just how bad they really were, and then, after those 2 months, make changes based on feedback from the community. I feel as though people forget just how busted certain aspects of Modern Warfare 2 actually were, and I feel as though people really underestimate how much those broken mechanics are going to have a spotlight shined upon them with the current Call of Duty player base, and we only need to look back at the original Modern Warfare Remastered to see how this would play out. Back in the day, Call of Duty 4 had the exact same balancing as Modern Warfare Remastered, and of course, back in the day, back in 2007 and 2008, Frag Times 3 was ridiculously broken, and the M16 was incredibly good, but the Call of Duty player base back then was much more naive. Well, in 2016, after all these years, when Modern Warfare Remastered eventually came out, everybody and their mother were running the one-burst death laser that was the M16 and spamming grenades absolutely everywhere. The game, from a balance perspective, was the exact same, but the game was much more broken in 2016 as compared to 2007 because the player base has evolved and the player base understands game mechanics a lot better than they did back when. Like seriously, for example, have you guys ever tried playing Search and Destroy in Modern Warfare Remastered? Forget about the M16 for a second. With 6 players on the enemy team, all running Frag Times 3, that means there are 18, count once again with me, 18 frag grenades that you have to avoid every single round in a game that does not have Flak Jacket. It's obscene. Like, Call of Duty 4 Search and Destroy, I've always said is one of my favorite video game modes, just in general, right? If I could just play, like, one game in one specific mode, I've always said, like, Call of Duty 4 Search and Destroy was fantastic. But when you try to relive that with Modern Warfare Remastered, with virtually everybody running Frag Times 3, it's not nearly as fun. In fact, it's not fun whatsoever. It's actually pretty horrible, especially considering the fact that the game does not have a built-in Flak Jacket perk. Juggernaut does protect you a little bit, but not really, and the frag grenades in Call of Duty 4 were basically mini nukes, and there were 18 of them you had to avoid every single round of Search and Destroy on maps that really aren't all that big. Right, so it was a problem back in 2007, and it became a massive problem in 2016 and onwards with Modern Warfare Remastered, and the same thing, in my opinion, would happen with Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered. Like, if you think one-man army noob tubes were a problem in 2009 and in 2010, imagine the current Call of Duty player base. Like, have you played Black Ops Cold War? How many times do you die every single game session to the no-flinch snipers and the AK-74U? Like, once the Call of Duty player base realizes something is busted or something is the best way to go about things, that's all they do. Variety is not a thing that the Call of Duty player base as a whole apparently seem to enjoy, right? So as soon as Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered comes out, and if they don't fix the one-man army situation, suddenly you guys are going to realize a couple days in, once people get up into the level 40s and 50s, when they unlock these things, suddenly the game is going to become completely busted and nearly unplayable, because you're only going to be facing people with one-man army, danger close grenade launchers that have absolutely no counter besides you hiding from them and shooting tubes yourself. right? It's going to take a normal, fun Call of Duty experience and completely tilt it on its head and basically make it grenade launcher simulator, and that does not sound fun really whatsoever. That's why I like Sean's idea of kind of proving that to people with the first 2 months of the game being the exact same balancing that we saw back in 2009 and in 2010, and then from there, if I'm wrong and, you know, grenade launchers and noob tubes aren't really that big of a problem, then from there, maybe they do a poll or they find a way to make a decision as to whether or not they actually want to make any changes based on community feedback, sort of similar to old school RuneScape, or maybe it'll be so bad, just as bad as I'm thinking it's going to be, that they decide, you know what, we should implement Robert Bulling's forgotten patch, and then, you know, this way we have 2 months where people can experience the game as it was, and then from there on out, we can actually play the game the way it was intended, where it's not completely busted and completely imbalanced. I think that would be a really good thing. With Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered, I don't think we should just, you know, go down that slippery slope, however. I don't feel as though we should be rebalancing the entire game. I don't think we should be rebalancing weapons or anything like that. I just think that we should do what Robert Bulling wished he could have done back in 2010, which is make it so red dot sights on the FAL, for example, actually shoot where they're supposed to. They should make it so these silencers on things like the SAW and the M9 should actually hide you from the minimap, and they should also make it so grenade launchers are not infinitely spammable like they were back in the day. The best part about this is these balance changes aren't just things that I personally want, but these are changes that virtually everybody back in the day wanted, even the face of Infinity Ward himself, Robert Bulling, otherwise known as 402. He really wanted this to actually be implemented, and with Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered, they have an opportunity to do exactly that and basically rewrite the history books for Modern Warfare 2 and make it an even better game in 2021 or 2022 or 2023, whenever it comes out. Make it a better game then than it was back in 2010, even though Modern Warfare 2 still to this day is considered by most people to be one of the best Call of Duty experiences ever made. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the focus of today's video. I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback down in the comment section below. Obviously, it's a highly debated topic one way or the other. I am personally for some changes in Modern Warfare 2, but just the changes that Robert Bulling wanted to implement. I don't want them, again, nerfing things like the UMP. Just because the UMP was really good doesn't mean it should be nerfed, right? Just because the ACR was really good doesn't mean it should be nerfed. I don't think Danger Close, in fact, should be nerfed, or even grenade launchers. I don't think they should be nerfed. They were just kind of part of the game. But I feel as though things like One Man Army and using that perk to replenish infinite grenade launchers, then sit in the back of the map and then just spam them across the map, I don't think that was originally intended as part of the design of One Man Army. And if you don't think so, just think about the fact that One Man Army has never returned once they realized that was going to be a problem in virtually every single Call of Duty title. Right, so I'm definitely for some changes, but only the changes that Robert Bulling wanted for 02 back in the day. But of course, I can see the argument that they should make no changes whatsoever. But then you have the entire rabbit hole about what they're going to actually do with that game. Like, for example, there's probably going to be a battle pass, right? Are they going to charge for DLC maps? They better not, like they did back in Modern Warfare Remastered. That was obscene. Charging people $15 for a map pack that came out 15 years ago. The exact same price as it was back in 2007. That was obscene. They should never do that. But are they going to add in supply drops? Are they going to add in DLC weapons? If they do add in DLC weapons, should they be Call of Duty 4 weapons? Should they throw in Modern Warfare 3 weapons? Should they add in no weapons? There's definitely a lot to talk about when it comes to Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, which is why people have been talking about it for years on YouTube here, and why we continue to do it here in 2021. But of course, once again, I'd love to hear what you guys think about all of this down in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.